The Detroit Tigers are back in the sense that they are playing. They are also back in the sense that the same problems that persisted in the first half are so far also persisting in the second half. They split a doubleheader against the Oakland A's. We're going to talk about it today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Friday. Happy Friday, July 22nd, 2022. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. The Detroit Tigers split a Thursday doubleheader. Traditional, just back-to-back, baby. Bang, bang. Split a doubleheader to the Oakland A's. The first game winning 7-2. The second game getting shut out and losing 5-0. The first game, the Tigers had 10 hits, a whopping 3 of them, 4. Look at that, 4 extra base hits. That's actually pretty respectable. 10 hits, 4 of them, almost half of them extra base hits. Robbie Grossman with an offensive explosion, getting off on the right foot there in the second half. Jeimer Candelario roped a ball, absolutely roped a ball to right field. I know it looked like, it kind of barely, not barely, but it didn't go 50 rows deep. Like it kind of, but that thing was a rocket. That thing was hit very hard and very well. Exit velocity well over 100, I think 104 miles an hour, just about 400 feet. That's a pretty deep part of the ballpark. Got a hold of that one. So really nice to see him start off on the right foot there in the second half. It's so weird because this team in the first game, you were like, okay, this is good. But also in the first game, we got to talk about the Oakland A's stink. And I know the Tigers stink. And if there's any Oakland A's fans listening, I don't mean that in the sense that we are better than you, because we're certainly not. We saw in the second game, this offense, now this Tigers offense is absolutely, and they both scored exactly 7 runs in a doubleheader. Both teams combined total for 7 runs. That's not great in a doubleheader. And the Tigers scored all 7 of them in one of the 2 games. The Oakland A's, that is a brutal product. I mean, it's really rough. It's really rough. And again, I know our product is not very good either, and our offense is actually worse than the A's offense somehow this season, even though they are actively trying to lose. That team traded all of its talent away and is literally intentionally losing. And we are worse than them after spending money and bringing in talent in the offseason and promoting top prospects. That's besides the point. We talked about that yesterday in the first half recap. The point is, the A's are, that's brutal. It really is. That's a brutal ball club at the moment. And so you took advantage and you won game 1. And I thought I really felt good about game 2. I really did. And, Garrett Hill, we'll talk about him later. He has had 2 major league starts. One of them went really poorly. One of them went pretty well. And this was kind of, I don't know, like the rubber match of them. Not really, because, he was just the 27th man. It's not like he was playing for too terribly much. But still, you want to make good starts when you have the opportunity to pitch in the major leagues. And I thought he looked pretty good. Like, obviously, he made the one mistake that eventually got him pulled from the game and whatnot. But I was pretty impressed with his start. Honestly, the first 4 innings especially were really, really solid. And we'll talk about Skubal too. He looked absolutely fantastic. We'll talk about everything. It's just, it's this A's team is so bad, and they're trying to be bad. And you split a game against them and got shut out against them and scored the same amount of runs as they did on the day. Like, that's not an encouraging start. to the second half. And so many times we've seen teams, first half, second half, or we've seen teams, right after the All-Star break. We've seen it with individual players too. And we'll talk about some of the players that we can hope to see big second halves from. Spoiler alert, it's pretty much everybody, but still, like this is very much the season is salvageable. It's just not. The season is you're almost 20 games under 500. You'd have to be unbelievable in the second half to actually be in the thick of things for like a playoff hunt or anything. So the season is not salvageable in that regard, but there are certainly a lot of storylines and a lot of individual players that can lead to some promise for next year, can send us into the offseason with some encouragement going into next season. And it's just what a start to the second half in like the least positive way you can think of. It's just not it's sad. It really is sad. I can't get over how everyone in this offense just decided to have the worst year of their careers all in the same year at the same time. It's remarkable. And Robbie Grossman, like I said, had a good first day. Doubleheaders are tough. It's we have a heat wave across the whole country. It's hot. Everybody knows I hate when people say, oh, it's too hot outside. Grow up. Like, there's just I was so glad that we won the first game. I was like, okay, no matter what happens from here on out, like, we're not going to lose every game the rest of the season. And then we just laid an absolute stinker in the second game. And I was like, all right, that's, snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. So, like, it was not a very encouraging day. Not that there have been very many encouraging games, but it certainly was not super encouraging. Offensively, in the first game, Riley Green looked absolutely fantastic. One of the weird things I want to talk about with Riley Green is they send him to steal a lot. And he's an athletic kid. He's pretty fast, whatever. It's weird that they keep trying to. He's now 1 of 5 on stolen base attempts in his major league career. I want to say he's literally 1 for 5. Like that, that's not great. You've been caught stealing 4 times. You've successfully stolen 1 base. There's just it's weird that they keep setting him. And I'm honestly, it's weird, but I'm not against it. Like, in a weird way, I'm kind of like, yeah, just like keep doing it and see what happens. Because again, you're not gonna salvage a win-loss record that's respectable going for the end of the season. Like, you're not. So you might as well just see what you got in some players, and you might as well just see, you know what? Let's just send Riley Green every time he gets on first base and see how many stolen bases he can get. And at the end of the season, if his stolen base percentage is absolutely horrible, then it's absolutely horrible. Then it's horrible. And you go, okay, well, he might not be a base stealer going forward. Then Like, I'm not totally against it, but it's definitely something to keep an eye out for, because it has, honestly, to be completely frank, not very many of them have even been close. The last 2 or 3 stolen base attempts he's been thrown out like comfortably. And the one today wasn't even like that great of a throw. I don't know. It's just something I noticed that I wanted to address, because they keep trying it and it keeps not being successful. And I just wanted to say, I'm honestly not, don't get him hurt. The last thing we need is for him to, jam a finger or something, knock on wood. But just something weird that I noticed in the strategy. Like, they're very aggressive with Riley Green specifically, because not everybody else is stealing a ton of bases. So, all right, let's get into the rest of the offense, and we'll definitely get into the pitching. 2 very, very intriguing pitching performances in this one. First, though, I got to tell y'all about our friends over at LinkedIn Talent Solutions. As the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame around your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questioning make it easier to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small business rates LinkedIn jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Well, now you do. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, everybody. Welcome back here to segment 2 at Locked On Tigers. Which NFL stars moved the betting line the most? Well, on July 18th, Locked On started giving you the 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at BetOnline. Started to be available July 18th. That means it's available now, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. So, talking about this split doubleheader, the first game went pretty well. Like, objectively, there was not a lot to complain about in that one. It was actually a really well played ball game. And again, the A's looked terrible, and the Tigers took advantage and got a win. As far as the offense went, we already kind of talked about it. Riley Green, couple of hits, RBI, a couple of really hard hit balls. Javi Baez, 3 for 5. Great to see. Robbie Grossman, couple of extra base hits. Really great to see. 3 RBIs. Jonathan Scope with a hit. And Jamer Candelario with the homer and a couple of hits. All really solid all around. Also, before this game happened, roster moves. Cody Clemens, it didn't publicly. Cody Clemens called up, right? So he fills in. He's going to be playing a lot of first base, I'd imagine. Harold is going to be playing a lot of first base, I'd imagine. And then Jamer is probably going to be getting some looks at first base as well. So you have that move, and then you have Will Vest to paternity. Congratulations to him and his family. He's now a father. That's awesome. And then Zach Short, the return of Zach Short. Zach Short played for the Tigers last year. Look, man, he plays a solid defense at most infield positions. He's never going to play first, but at third, short, and second, he can play solid defensively. He strikes out a ton. He does not hit for a very high average. People like to say like he has sneaky power. He has sneaky power, like relatively speaking. Like, you know, he has I think single-digit home runs in Toledo this year. Like, I guess if you look at a guy and you look at him and you go, oh, like he's, you know, pretty small or short or whatever, like then yeah, maybe he has sneaky power in the sense that, you know, you expect him to hit 2 home runs a year and he hits like 10 or 15, I guess. But it's certainly not worth the 200 batting average and the plethora of strikeouts he's going to have. And he has decent walk numbers, which I appreciate, and he can work at count and, you know, give you some quality ABs sometimes. But he doesn't end the frustration of this team's inability to literally hit fastballs over the heart of the plate. Fastballs right down the middle. The Tigers this year have just been like, no, we're good. We're going to swing and miss at all of these. Zach Short isn't going to be any different in that regard. So it's a fine call up. I understand you had a roster spot open. You got a doubleheader you're playing, whatever. I don't expect it to be a long-term thing. I think it was really just so that they could have some more infield depth for the doubleheader. And when Will Vest is back from being a new father, then I don't think Zach Short's really long for the major league roster currently. But he's on the 40-man, and it just shows, you know, if they need infield depth, that's who they're going to go to. That's next in line. So he played in this one, went 0 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. There you go. Pretty on brand for what we just talked about. So the offense really solid in this one, hitting the ball hard, etc. Again, I can't stress enough how poor the A's are, and the pitching for that team in game 1 was not very good. A lot of fastballs that were, I I don't even know, like over the heart of plate, our heart of the plate might not even be what they were. They were like trying to be on the edge of the plate, and then they were just not. Like they caught too much of the plate when they were attempted to be on the edge. That's really the best way to describe it. And a lot of hard contact ensued. So that was good. Tarik Skubal, the story of game one, however, as he went 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. It was not earned, so 0 earned runs, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. He was absolutely fantastic. It's the best we've seen from him in a while. Now, I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry there are some people that like hate the fact, oh, he repeats himself too much. Well, unfortunately, the A's stink, and I cannot stress that enough, all right? So 9 Ks, 6 in, like it's a great line, and we will gladly take it because he struggled against like some not great teams even. So just having a good start, period, we will gladly take, and I'll be very happy about. The pitch mix I thought was really solid. We've seen him throw the changeup a lot more before. He didn't really throw the changeup too terribly much. The knuckle curve is usually only like 1 to 3 times a game just to throw people off randomly every once in a while. So that was pretty on brand. He only threw that once. But the changeup only 6 times. It's a little low. We've seen that higher before. And the sinker is usually in the 20s. It's usually like the slider and the 4-seam are usually 1, 2. Then the sinker and the changeup are usually 3, 4, and then the knuckle curve there at the bottom. So that is the order that it was, but the mix, it was very slider and 4-seam heavy. He threw the slider 39 times and the 4-seam fastball 31 times, the sinker 15, so half of the second most thrown pitch, the fastball, and then we already talked about the changeup and the curve. So really, I mean, 17 whiffs is phenomenal. That's a very, very solid number. 15 called strikes added with that. That's a 35 called strikes plus whiffs percentage, CSW percentage. 35 of his pitches, 35% of his pitches were either swinging or called strikes. That is an unbelievably impressive number. That is over a third, like comfortably over a third, comfortably better than 1 of every 3 pitches was either a called strike or a swinging strike. That's a great day at the office. The average exit velocity was under 86.5 miles an hour. That's low. It was a really, really good performance, and it was built around fastball command and the A's being bad. That's what it was built around. When he was able to pinpoint the fastball and then set up the slider, set up the sinker, set up the change, whatever was coming afterwards, that is when, and we saw that when he was dominant at the beginning of the year too. That's always what it's been. It's always been 4-seam fastball command, and that certainly was what made him so effective. In this one, he carried a no-hitter through, 4 or 5 innings. Then Jeimer Candelario almost took a ball to the face and ended it. He gave up another hit too, so it didn't end up mattering that much, but like an actual hit. But Jeimer has not been super impressive defensively this season either, but that's a different conversation. We need to have a whole dialogue about Jeimer Candelario, honestly, at some point this year. Because, yeah, his future is really interesting. But regardless, Skubal was fantastic. And even though the A's team isn't good, it doesn't matter. He took advantage of the fact that they aren't good and can't be mad at someone for doing what they were supposed to do and dominating a team that they were supposed to dominate. So all the credit in the world. Nicely done. Velocity was even up a little bit on the 4-seam. Touch 98 at one point. That's a little bit higher than we're used to, about a mile per hour higher than we're used to. So good to see that he's feeling good. He's slinging it. Everything's good. Hopefully we can now build upon this. The Royal start was interesting because he's like, this is the best my stuff's ever been. And he hit 100 miles an hour like 2 times in a row. And you were like, what's happening? But there was still a weird start, and it still wasn't like super dominant, even though his stuff was fantastic and the defense completely failed him. And there was some walks and it was weird. This one was just, he was in control the entire game and the stuff was absolutely fantastic. And the command was the best it's been in a while. At the beginning of the season, what made him, again, so effective was 4-seam fastball command. He had it today, and that's one of the reasons. And then when he missed, it was still a swing and a miss because the A's blow. So Alex Lang then comes in, gives up a home run, and did not have that great of an inning. His ERA is up to 2.48, even with the home run that he gave up. Whatever. It didn't cost us. It's one outing. If he goes out there and dominates again like we know he can, then I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Michael Fulmer goes 1 inning, 1 hit, looked really, really solid. His slider cutter thingy, when it's on, it is on, man. That pitch is seriously lethal. And again, I don't know. I just keep calling it the slider cutter thingy because I don't really know which one it is, and I'm not sure anybody does. But whatever it is, lethal pitch. Absolutely lethal pitch. And when it's commanded well, it's dang near unhittable. Then Jason Foley, I was glad he got the 9th, 1 inning, 2 Ks, ERA down to 3.15. We're going to keep talking about the fact that the Jason Foley sinker is a really good pitch. It's a really effective pitch. When he locates it well, it is a pretty much guaranteed like weak contact, or honestly, he's been getting some swings and misses with it lately. So and used as a knee buckler actually today, had 4 called strikes on the sinker, like just were stared at right at the knees. Dipped down a little bit, had 1 on the inside corner as well. Really, really good pitch when he's on with it. So I liked that when we kind of put the game out of a safe situation that they went with him instead of Greg. Jason Foley, I think, leading the team since getting recalled the second time at least in appearances, or maybe just on the season in general. He's been used a lot, and I don't mind it. I really like it. Okay, let's get into Garrett Hill and game 2 as a whole. A lot less offense to talk about, but certainly some pitching performances we still need to discuss. But first, I got to tell you all about our friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, and combat sports, even esports and golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your wagering information, from live betting, esports, scores, podcasts. They have everything. They have you covered. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Alrighty, Roo. Welcome back to segment 3 here at Locked On Tigers. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Game 2, 5-0. Lose at the hands of the Oakland Athletics, obviously. Garrett Hill started this game. First and foremost, more contacts, right? More contacts. Did not have the big goggles, and that was it was just different to see him without the goggles on. I'm a big fan of the goggles, man. I honestly, like, secretly as a little kid, I watched one documentary about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when I was in like the 4th grade, and then immediately like pretended like my eyes were worse than they were just so that I could have like Kareem goggles. I'm not even kidding. I was weird. I wanted to be like different like that, but I'm a big fan of the big goggles. But if he's pitching like this, he looked really good through 4 innings today. So if he's pitching like this, maybe we stick him with the contacts. But the big thing in this one is his fastball has really nice movement, and I really enjoy it. Average exit velocity on the outing was 89 miles an hour. Not a masterclass by any stretch, but anything that's sub 90 is looked at relatively positively. So we'll take it for a guy making his 3rd major league start. His final line was 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. So if he had just gone 6 innings, that would have been a quality start still, right? 3 runs or less in 6. So the interesting thing, 4 strikeouts, honestly, I was surprised that he got that many strikeouts because his strategy was very much pound the strike zone, and his fastball has downward movement, right? His fastball has downward movement and downward cut on it, kind of like a sinker. So when he's throwing that pitch, that's like Chris Fetter's dream in a young pitcher because he tells young pitchers to just pound the strike zone. So it's just, hey, you got downward cutting action on this thing. Just rifle it in the strike zone. It's just going to be ground ball city. And it was, until he hung a curveball right at the belly button, and it just got absolutely tanked to left field, right? Which, it was like 108 off the bat. Like, that thing was really, crapped on. It was kind of crazy, actually. But that's what happens to hanging breaking balls and hanging curveballs at the major league level. So the slider I thought was wildly impressive. That's the best slider I think I've seen from him since he was in Double A. At Double A when he was kind of shoving and dominating against everyone, I was really impressed with his slider. This is probably the most impressed I've been with that pitch since he got called up. Really, really looked really sharp. Was able movement wise, he wasn't honestly getting a ton of people to chase on it, but the shape of it and the movement of it, I was really impressed by. Was not hit hard at all, which again, mostly just due to strategy because it was thrown low and away, but still never left it over the zone. I thought he sequenced it really well, kind of trying to tunnel it with the fastball and everything. The knuckle curve, for the most part, was okay. It was hit when it was hit hard. It was hit hard. But he got quite a few called strikes on it, which I thought was impressive. He trying to get people buckle some knees at the bottom of the zone, and he was able to do that. But when he missed high, he missed bad high, and they got hit pretty hard. And then that like fastball sinker thing he's got going on, what was hit relatively hard in terms of exit velocity, but they were mostly on the ground and were mostly ground balls. And I was pretty impressed with the pitch. And I think if you're going to be a starter, he only had 5 whiffs in the whole outing. If you're going to be a starter that's only going to have 5 whiffs, you're going to need either a lot of called strikes, which he didn't really have, or you're going to have to induce a crap load of ground balls. And so that's what he was trying to walk that fine line, and he walked it really well for 4 innings. And then, the 5th inning came around and he no longer walked it well because he left the 6th inning rather. Sorry. He was really good for 5. I've been an inning off this entire time. I'm sure somebody's already let me know about it. But the first 5 innings really solid. And then he went out there for the 6th, gave up the home run, and then got pulled from the game. So he was I was impressed. I was impressed. I know whatever ended on a sour note. Fine, sure, totally fair. But if this is the type of performance, the type of sequencing, the type of command, honestly, like the sinker fastball thingy, the command on that pitch was pretty solid, and I think it set up and really opened up a lot as far as he was just setting people up to induce soft contact. That's what he was doing. He was not going to walk anybody, and or not trying to walk anybody rather. And he was trying to get as much soft contact as he could. And he got a couple of called strikes because of it, whatever. But he was setting you up to hit a ground ball, and it worked out for a lot of innings. So again, it's the Oakland A's offense, whatever, but we will gladly take it. Andrew Chafin came in, and this one gave up quite a few hits and then made his own error, which then cost a run, but it's not an earned run. I always think it's funny. That's like one of my favorite anomalies about baseball is that like the pitcher can make an error and then it can be a non-earned run because an error was made, but it's like, hey, like the pitcher made the error. Like that's always funny to me. Like it's still your fault, just not in the way that you think it's your fault. Like that's always been funny to me. But so that happened with him. Not a great outing. ERA still 2.45 on the year. Again, first game back from the break, we weren't going to score any runs anyway. Like, whatever. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. Just a bad outing. The command wasn't there for him. Joe Jimenez comes in, continues to look absolutely fantastic. 1 shutout inning with 2 strikeouts. The velocity was way up on the slider. Like, I'm talking like 3 miles an hour plus at times on the slider for like it came in hot. I was like, is this a hot gun or is this like legit? And sure enough, Baseball Savant was all over it, and it was coming in hot. So that's nice to see. Maybe auditioning himself for the inevitable trade that he is setting himself up for. And then Jose Cisnero was back, and he gave up a couple of hits, didn't give up any runs. He threw mostly the sinker, and the velocity was way down from what it usually is as far as last year. Like if you're comparing to last season, way low. And Cisnero, like people, forget, maybe they don't, but some people forget that for 2020 and 2021, this dude was a dog and was used a bleep load. Like his usage, well, I think he may have led the league in appearances one of those 2 years. Like he was used to death. And like, so it's going to take him, some time to get the velocity back up and whatever. And he mostly just threw the sinker in this one because I think he knew he wasn't going to blow it by people. I mean, he got up to 95, 96. It's not like he was hurling it in there at 84 miles an hour or anything, but based on what he's used to. And I think he was just like, I'm not going to go for strikeouts. I'm just going to try to get people to ground out. And, my first outing back, just induce some weak contact and not put too much pressure on myself to get swings and misses. And so he let a couple of knocks, whatever, but got out of it without giving up a run. And that's all that matters. So it was nice to see him back on the mound is really the most important part. And then, the offense, Frankie Montas absolutely pieced you for whatever, 5 innings. Then they went to the bullpen when Montas was only at 53 pitches, which was kind of a thing to look out for. But he absolutely shoved, and his pitch mix is always so impressive to me. I love watching Frankie Montas pitch because he has 5 pitches and all of them get used a ton. He really spreads the sugar out. It's really a treat to watch him. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. I'm assuming he's going to get traded. So, and then their bullpen came in. They put the A team bullpen in. I love AJ Puck. He's really fun to watch as well. I'm a big fan of his. So, there's not really much to talk about the offense. You got you had 4 hits. You had 4 hits. One of them was an extra base hit, and you had 2 walks. There you go. Your top 4 did not record a single hit. Riley Green, Victor Reyes, Javi Baez, Miguel Cabrera. All over. The 4 hits came from your 5 through 7 hitters. 5, 6, 7. No, 5 through 8 hitters. Not going to win you too many games. We don't even need to have the same discussion we have a million times. It's just 1 step forward, 2 steps back with this team pretty much all the time. And you know what's wild is, and we'll get you out of here, but it's I missed watching them. How messed up am I? I missed watching them over the All-Star break. I was like, I wish the Tigers were on today. Why would you do that to yourself? Why am I the way I am? It's what I ask my therapist every Friday. The Tigers, man. I can't stop. Can't stop loving them, unfortunately. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. Now make your second listen, the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast. Host Lindsey Crosby. It's a prospect encyclopedia. He's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. He did some great coverage for the MLB draft as well. And I'm sure he's still talking about a lot of those guys that were newly drafted over there, a lot of new prospect rankings, etc. So be sure to check that out. And that's it. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I will catch y'all on Monday, hopefully recapping some wins. All right? Go Tigers, baby.